Hello there again, Nathan here from Family Protection Ministries. It is April 19th, 2024, and I have a legislative update for you, as well as a look at a couple of other things, including we'll look at a couple of the recent articles that we have published, as well as looking at some upcoming events, focusing in on a event that we are hosting online. It is a seminar on getting you engaged in local district office visits. So let's get into it. I want to start off with legislative update, and there are a couple of bills I want to get your attention to see that we have made some progress so far this year. I know that many have asked what's going on in the legislature, and honestly, it seems like there's a little bit of a lag with the activity that we have seen this year, but it is moving. The legislature is moving, is having committee hearings, is passing bills from one committee to the next. So we're going to just talk about a couple. I'm going to start with some I've mentioned before, those two kindergarten bills. That would be AB 2226 and SB 1056, very similar bills, similar to what we've dealt with in the past. As you know, if you've been around for long, we have dealt with a number of mandatory kindergarten bills over the years. In fact, 20 or 30 of them, I've lost track. I probably should count them someday, but right now we're looking at two bills that are very similar to a bill we dealt with last year. In fact, one of them's the same author. And what we're looking at is a bill that mandates kindergarten prior to entry into the first grade. However, both of these bills now include our amendment language that we wrote with HSLDA and have submitted over the last couple of years, and we were able to get that into one of the versions of these bills a couple of years ago, and they have been including it ever since, and we're grateful for that. So we're grateful that our amendment language is in here. What does that mean? It means that the mandatory kindergarten bills require kindergarten for those that enroll into or seek to enroll into the first grade in a public school. This means that mandatory kindergarten does not apply to people privately homeschooling or sending their kids to a private campus school. So if you are sending your kids to first grade in a public school, you're going to be required to mandate to have them attend kindergarten prior to that. But if you're enrolling them in a private school or a private homeschool, then you don't need to worry about it based on these two versions of the bill, at least the way these are written. So if you look at it from a strictly parental rights perspective, these bills do both AB 2226 and SB 1056, they both do make it so that parents don't have a right to opt out of kindergarten altogether if they're going to be putting their kids in public school. However, it does keep the current set of rights that parents have to choose that option if they want to, if they're going to ultimately homeschool privately or have their kids enrolled in a private campus school. So it is the direction that the legislature has been pushing for some time. These bills have failed for a number of different reasons, including the issue of parental rights. That has been cited many times, but also the issue of funding has been mentioned. In fact, Governor Newsom vetoed this bill not too long ago because of the funding issue. It would cost more money to enroll that many more kids in kindergarten. That's funded by the state. Other governors have vetoed this bill when it's made all the way to their desk. Both Governor Gray Davis and Governor Schwarzenegger and Governor Jerry Brown have all vetoed versions of this bill on the issue of parental rights, and I think that's appropriate. It is a threat to parental rights, but this particular set of bills is based on a version that is less of a threat because parents do still have the option to privately educate their children and not be forced to send them to kindergarten or even to have a formal kindergarten program in private school. So I'm grateful for those amendments, and so we're watching these bills as they go through to make sure that it does not impact private homeschool families or those sending their kids to private school. So that's a really important thing. Next, we mentioned a while back AB 2998, which was a bill dealing with a sort of an overall push over the last couple of years to have children have more rights in and of themselves to be allowed to consent to medical care in a range of different areas. And this bill was another step in that direction, in fact, to lower the age. But this bill has been gutted and amended, and it does something else. Not really in my area, but it does deal with youth and opioid overdose reversal. It has to do with allowing children on public school campuses to be allowed to carry certain drugs that can help reverse the impacts of opioid overdose. There's a lot of controversy on this bill, but it's just recently been gutted and amended to pursue that issue of students on public school campuses being allowed to carry those and administer those. So that's AB 2998. We'll watch that as it moves forward to see how it impacts students and family rights, family engagement on the medical front, because we do get concerned when we see the government placing itself in between students and their parents. Regardless of what education program that parents are choosing for their children, we want to, as much as we can, see the institution of the family be upheld in our society. And I think that's good for everyone when we can protect that. All right, so there's a couple of other bills. I'm just going to mention one more. But again, if you are interested in following up on any of these, just check out our bill tracker on our website, fpmca.org/bill tracker. We'll take you to a page that lists out the bills that we are monitoring actively. We have other things that we're working on behind the scenes, but these are the ones that we're able to talk about publicly. Sometimes we have to work behind the scenes on things quietly in order to do our best to maintain friendly relations with authors and staff, but we're able to publicly talk about some right now, and so that's what we're doing here. AB 1864 is another bill that we've been working on for the last few months, so we are grateful that this bill was amended with some wording that we've developed over the years, and this bill has to do with pesticide being used at farms, which kind of seems like, why does this have anything to do with homeschooling or parental rights? Well, the reason is because this bill directly has to do with pesticide use within a certain number of feet from a school. And as you know, in California, we are private homeschools, and we are functioning under the same law as any other private school. And so when you see the code reference private school, we have to see if the definition of that private school impacts private homeschool families in their own homes. And in this case, the original bill was too vague, and we're grateful that this bill was amended with some of our wording to actually make it much more clear of who this bill applies to. And it's really actually pretty fortunate, because when you look at laws regarding pesticide use near homes versus near schools, the laws about pesticide use near homes is actually more protective. It's a good law, and so this bill has some clarifying language that is going to make it so that it doesn't override the existing law that relates to homes, and we will fit into the home use part of the code as opposed to the private school use of the code. So anyway, we're grateful for that. That's AB 1864. And I think we'll move on from legislation for now, although there are a lot of bills that are being gutted and amended right now, which means that they're taking everything that was in the bill last week, taking that out and putting something brand new in. It's kind of a way of introducing new bills past the introducing new bills deadline. It's a way to get around those deadlines and just say, oh, we're going to introduce a new bill, but we're going to use this bill over here because we don't want to move forward with that bill. So we're just going to take this bill and gut it and put in new wording and move forward with that. So right now we're looking at that for a number of bills, and we're having to watch and take a look at what new language is being put in and how will that impact us. So that's going to be continuing to happen as the weeks and months move on, but we're trying to stay on top of that best we can. And next I want to get into some articles. I want to just bring to your attention that our website, fpmca.org, does have a number of articles on various topics, things that relate to your freedoms or your abilities as a private homeschool family, parent, leader, to continue with homeschooling and to have flexibility in how we do that. So there's couple of articles recently that we've posted. One called School of Record that talks about the relationship between public school programs, maybe at-home public school programs, charter school programs, and private schools and private school programs. And so if you have questions about like dual enrollment, things like that, take a look at that. That article, School of Record. Then there's a Q&A document on our website we posted recently on AB 659, the HPV vaccine bill that passed last year, that we got a lot of amendment language worked through on that bill, and it was introduced with really difficult and bad wording in it, and then it kind of got a little bit worse before it got better, but ultimately homeschooling was completely written out of that bill. So if you run a homeschool program for a campus school, or you run a PSP, private school satellite program, or you file your own affidavit and you are your own private school, this bill, AB 659, and the HPV vaccine law that was passed last year and signed into law by the governor, that law doesn't affect anybody that's part of a home-based private school program. So if you're a private homeschooler, you don't have to worry about the impact of that bill for you. The bill had some other confusing things to it, but you can take a look at our Q&A document on our website to get more information on that. Next, another article that we've published recently is the CHESP/HISET article. If you have questions about that, you can take a look at that article. And I'm interested in more questions because we will be doing another article and probably another podcast episode on this at some point soon. So if you have other questions that we can answer, let me know, and we will get to that. Next, there's a couple of other articles. There's something on government funds in private education. Should we take them? There's an important article on our website about that I would encourage you to take a look at. If you have any questions about that issue, whether it's ESAs or whether it's vouchers or tax credits, take a look at that article and think through some of those principles in there as you look at this issue of government funds for private education. Next, we have an upcoming event. This is coming up this next Thursday. It's the 25th of April. It's a training for district office visits, and it's a short event, a very short event. It's a free event, and I would encourage you, if you're interested at all in how you can get involved, even at the very local level, and there's a range of ways you can get involved, but take a look at this webinar and see if you can fit it into your schedule. If you can't, we should be able to have the recording available, but definitely please register for this recording, for this webinar, so that you can understand what are your options for engaging in the legislature, even at the local level? The explanation should be about 20 minutes and will be available for questions afterwards, but I would encourage you to check that out and see how you can engage in the battle for our freedoms here in California and even across the country, because at the local level is one of the most important places that we need engagement from homeschool families. And I can't be in every legislator's district in California the way that homeschool families across the state can. So we need your involvement to engage with those legislators at the local level, and we can't do that without you. So please see how you can get engaged. It's not that hard. There are some people that are working really hard to visit as many offices as they can, but we need more people to engage in this. We're very underrepresented in certain parts of the state. So we would ask that you would engage personally in this. Take a look at this webinar, the District Office Visits 101, and see how you can make a difference. So we'll definitely put the link to that below, but you can also take a look at information about this and many other upcoming events on our website at fpmca.org/events. That's fpmca.org/events. And don't forget to check out our bill tracker at fpmca.org/bill tracker, and you'll learn about the different bills that we're watching and taking action on right now. So that's it for today. Hope you have a good week, and we'll see you again soon. Thanks for joining us for this episode of The Frontline with FPM. For more information about the topics we discuss here, check out Family Protection Ministries at fpmca.org and subscribe to our channel.